Hey peeps, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. It's another nice sunny day here in the PNW, and I'm just going to get right to business today. My Wire train is going to continue. I've been listening to Wire a lot this week, and yeah, I wanna talk about them. I wasn't necessarily planning on a string of Wire videos this week, but it's fun when I'm listening to something and it's fresh in my mind. It's easier to talk about and fun. And this is what I'm into right now. I'm all over the place. I'll shift between genres and bands in a heartbeat. And this week it's been Wire, and I'm going to talk about this today. IBTABA. That means it's beginning to and back again. This came out in 1988, right? See, I always doubt myself now because sometimes I get years wrong. All right, hang on a minute. I need to shine some light on this thing. I think it was 1988, and I'm going to subject you guys. See, there's no year on this. How do you release a record and not put a year on it? But I'm going to subject you guys to me staring at this record until I can figure out what year it was made. Reading the fine print from a couple feet away right now, looks like 1989. 89. There we go. I thought it was 1988. But let me think about this. So, A Bell is a Cup came out in 19, was that 88? I guess that was 88. Well, I'll confirm that when I do The Bell is a Cup until it is struck album. I'll confirm that date. This was 89. This was pre Manscape, post A Bell is a Cup until it is struck. It's beginning to and back again. Very verbose titles. Wire was not afraid to be verbose, as you Wire fans know. And why should they be? And why shouldn't they be? They are a unique band who had a lot to say and nothing to say all at once. That's part of the fun of this group. This is the US release. I'll just show these records and then I'll talk about them. I still have my shrink on it. The shrink's still on, the hype sticker. I always thought this was funny. Look at this. It says, like, this compact disc contains 3 bonus tracks. This is the kind of shit that happened back then. This compact disc, looks like a record to me. I remember that the compact disc actually has the bonus tracks or tracks from the eardrum Buzz 12-inch, and I'll show that here in a minute. They were cramming as much stuff as they could onto the CDs and tapes back then. And then if you bought records, you had to scramble to get all the 12 inches in order to get all the tracks. I didn't mind doing that because I bought records. There you go. Not the most exciting packaging. This was the inner sleeve. I mean, it's a poly inner sleeve, so this record of mine is like still in like new condition. I mean, I played it this morning and it's still, I mean, it's like I just broke it out of the seal. It's in perfect shape. That is the Mute logo. You Erasure and Depeche Mode and Nights or Ebb fans, you know that logo very well. And this came out on Enigma in the United States. They were on Enigma here. And this was the last album that they put out on Enigma that came out on vinyl here in the States. They put out Manscape after this, but that did not come out on vinyl here in the United States. By 1990, the American market, man, the music industry was really pushing CDs on people. They just weren't interested. I mean, they had such a level of disinterest in vinyl that they just stopped pressing it. You didn't have options. If you wanted this shit on vinyl, you had to turn to Europe, and that's what I did. Most of my records from the 90s are all European presses, mainly UK. The UK market never stopped. I always think that's an interesting conversation for Americans in particular. I hear that a lot people who aren't or were never into buying records. Over the years, I've told them that I have a huge record collection. They're like, records? They still make those? Like, you hear that in America a lot. Didn't they stop making those? No, they didn't. They never really stopped making them here in the United States either. They just severely cut down on them. But in Europe, they never stopped. It wasn't hard buying a record ever in Europe. They kept pumping it out there. But us Americans in the 90s, it was more challenging to get the music you wanted on vinyl, but it still wasn't that hard. If you knew what you wanted, you just and you got to know the record store owners, you just you gave them, in my case, I literally would write lists of the records I wanted, and I would give them to the record store owner, and they would order the shit for me. It was that simple. And also, I was a DJ. The record stores all knew me, so I did have an in there. It wasn't that hard for me to find anything, but at any rate, this came out in 1989, the last of the U.S. Wire album presses at the time. And this record, it's hard to describe. This was like a combination of old and new tracks, and it was predicated upon some live material they had, but they remixed it in the studio. So this has old songs and new songs, and a combination of live and studio recordings. Interesting, an interesting take, interesting sounds. You can definitely hear the liveness on this record. My computer's flashing. If you see the light changing, it's flashing around right now. Sorry. Yeah, like the first song in particular, Finest Drops, it sounds like a live recording, but it's very smooth. It's, very slick. And that's what this album sounds like. It sounds like a combination of live and studio tracks, sometimes melding together. Interesting concept. It is a bit of a compilation, and then it's not at the same time. It's a combo. This is a very good album. It's grown on me. When I first heard this back then, I didn't quite know what to make of it. It's a very intense, kind of claustrophobic sound, but no less awesome. That combination live studio remix sound and vibe is interesting. They never, as most Wire albums, it doesn't sound like any other Wire album. As you see here too, they say it right there on the hype sticker. Reinterpretations of classic Wire material, plus the new songs Eardrum Buzz and Illuminated. Those are awesome songs too. Eardrum Buzz arguably is maybe, at least here in the United States, maybe their most recognizable tune in their history, I think. Maybe. I might be wrong about that, but Eardrum Buzz is like a hit for them. It got played on MTV a lot here. It did get played on the radio. It's a very catchy pop song. One of the more catchy songs Wire ever did, but they have never had a problem writing catchy tunes. And the video to Eardrum Buzz is funny. I'll link you guys to that in the description of my video. I'll send you a link to the video. It's an interesting video. It's basically, I've always taken the song to be about pop, the pop industry, the music industry in general. How scandals and rumors get passed around, and people talk about shit they don't know about, and the buzz around bands. I mean, I think the title of the song is very appropriate to what the content of the song is about. It's about phony buzz in the music industry. And in the video, they show mute artists cleaning out their ears. Like you see Fletch from Depeche Mode. You see Vince Clarke from Erasure. You also see non-mute artists like Bjork. Bjork pops up. It's just all these faces you recognize cleaning out their ears. Wire's got a really funny sense of humor. Everyone has always kind of viewed these guys as a very intense, serious band, and I guess they can come off that way. But when you see interviews with them and you watch their videos, they have a very keen sense of humor. It always comes through in their music. I think they're just very human. Wire was always the type of band that were like, yeah, you can dissect us all you want, but we're just regular guys having feelings and opinions. They can be serious, they can be funny, just like a regular human being. That's why I love these guys. They're very real. Kind of a working class band, man. I've always thought of them that way. Interested in music, interested in different avenues and approaches to music. I seriously hope you guys, if you haven't heard Wire, I hope you guys check these guys out. Because I know, the people who have been watching this channel might not know about Wire, and I'm hoping this video will point you in the direction of listening to them because they deserve your ears. Awesome band. This record's an odd one. Highly recommended. It might sound dated to some of you. It did come out in the 80s, so it does have that electronic drum percussion sound that only can be described as 80s. I think you know what I'm talking about. A lot of bands got distracted with that kind of sound, but it sounds good here. It works. And it's not distracting. The fact that it was derived from live tapes and stuff is gives the studio sound a very fresh approach. You just don't hear records like this. And the fact it was a combination of old and new is intriguing. I think that turned some people off. Like people didn't know what to do with this album. Is it a compilation? Is it new stuff? Is it what is this? Re-recordings of old stuff? Yeah, kind of. Wire's always done that in different ways. Like Change Becomes Us. I talked about that a few days ago. That was a collection of older songs that they never recorded. And that's why Wire's interesting. That's why Wire's never been boring, is that they're always looking for new ways to come up with their musical delivery. Always, every record, every album they do is slightly different. And you can't say that about many bands. Excellent record. Check this out. And this is on Apple Music too. So Wire's entire catalog is on Apple Music. So if you have Apple Music, you just go there, add it to your collection. You get a few extra songs on the digital version. I looked this up on Apple Music and it has those 3 tracks that this hype sticker is talking about. It has the original CD lineup. So yeah, listen to this. If you like experimental music, music that is completely left of center, you look no further than this. Listen to any Wire album. Seriously, I wouldn't even recommend a starting point. Just if you see a Wire record, that's a good start. As I mentioned the other day, these guys they've never ebbed and flowed. They've never had a down period. They've never had a super up period. They have been steady, man. There are a few bands in history that have been more reliable than Wire. And that's why I wanted to do this string of videos. Laser like focus with these guys. It's not in their DNA. They can't do anything boring. They wouldn't dare to even try. They don't have it in them. Great record. This is Eardrum Buzz. This is the 12-inch. Like I mentioned, this arguably could be their most famous track, maybe the song most people would know them for, if they do know them at all. This is the US release. This is a great single, man. Awesome song. Really funny, really catchy. Kind of a perfect pop song. Wire really showing their range. They can get super experimental and weird and insulated, and then they can be big and expansive and catchy and totally adorable and lovable. And that's what this song is. Also of note is the B side, The Offer. The Offer is a amazing song. Really, really brief, really short, 2.5, 3 minutes. One of the most underrated Wire songs. The Offer. Yes. Excellent single. Love this record. And I'm going to show this too. This is one of the tracks that popped up on the CD release, and you'll find on that digital version as well, In Vivo. This is Wire making a club track, really. Pretty simply, this is a Wire in dance mode. You get dance remix instrumental, dance remix edit, and then a remix of Illuminated, and then a live version of Finest Drops. So if you get It's Beginning to and Back Again, I think this is you want to get this as a tag along. It fits right in there. This was a single only, but they did release this onto that digital version of the album and the CD. And I would pick this up. It mixes very well in the album. Mixes right in there very nicely. Get a couple of different remix options. And these all have very similar labels. They all have the poly inners. Nothing too exciting. You see there? So, yeah, these all came out on Enigma. This is kind of the end of their Enigma run. Manscaped came out on Enigma too, but I think that was the last album that came out on Enigma in the United States. I don't know how much longer Enigma even lasted after that. I think they died down in the 90s. But yeah, In Vivo, absolutely essential. These are awesome records. If you're into Wire, and this in particular, check this out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. It came out at a very fertile time, 1989. There's a lot of great stuff happening then. Music was getting blown open. And Wire definitely was, you could hear their beginnings of their electronic phase that would carry over into Manscape and then really bleed into the First Letter. And I've already talked about those two. But this was a lead in. You can hear the genesis of them getting into electronic music here. And that would carry over, at least with Colin Newman, for a good decade. But it started here. It started burbling up right here. Lots of experimentation, but a different type of experimentation. More technologically sound for the time. They were ditching the guitars and the drums a little bit more and starting to experiment with electronics. Interesting album in the Wire catalog. Absolutely 100% recommend this in a big way. Thanks as always. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.